It's Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Monday. So sick of this racist crap. This racist crap. This racist crap. I'm happy where I am, where everybody's miserable. I know how to do radio, 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 radio. So sick of this racist crap. This racist crap. This racist crap. So sick of this racist crap. This racist crap. This racist crap.
Gonna be busy coloring these doodles that I did while at work. You understand? So that's what I'm gonna do. This was done a couple of hours ago. We have an attempt at Kiki. Probably didn't do very well, but it's what I've got. We have an attempt at Mr. Piscante. Daddy Do. Probably wasn't all that successful there either, but again, it's what I got. Then we have Karmic with his shades on, but the ring light reflected in it, giving him cartoonish eyes, perhaps even more than his eyes already are, but no, not really. Not even the ring light reflection can defeat those bug eyes. He's upset about something. It could be anything. And then here's his beloved, the befuddler. Yes, yes. Somewhat exaggerated, I'll admit, but, well. This one was, a couple of days ago, or maybe even not that much. I don't recall. I believe this is supposed to be Mr. Panhandler. He was looking all baffled on the show with Pat Dixon. You know, pretty antisocial, the show, yeah. So that's him. And then another attempt, I believe, at Kiki, but this one failed even more than the other. I think we'll ignore this one, and we'll just have Mr. Panhandler, colored in for today's artistic exercise. Yes, yes, I think that will do. Yes, yeah, they will get rid of that. I don't know how that happens. It's mystifying. I will do this. No, I don't want it there. Look at it fade away. Yes, that's better. Yes, that's so much better. Here, we'll add a little more definition to a line on the nose. I don't know exactly what I was doing here. I did these marks when surely I must have realized that I could put it into Photoshop and color all that in. But for some reason, I thought I had to add detail to it. It's possible I was mistaken, but I'm not inviting any opinion on the matter. So, anyway, that's what we'll do. We'll start out there. Yes, yes. So I'll add a layer. I'll pick the flesh color. Then I'll fade it a bit. And then apply it to the visage of one Mr. Panhandler. Yes, yes. No, wait, that was the right one. Damn it. I'm already messing up. Oh, dear. No. Well, it'll be all right. I'm already forgetting. I think he mostly has gray hair, right? I think so. I mean, it's going to be gray in this picture. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm too lazy to do the research, you understand? Well, I mean, it's not really practical. I'm in the middle of doing this just for the purpose of having, I don't know, something to put on a live stream. What else am I going to do? Tell stories of all the failures I've witnessed. Quite a few were, mine. Oh, God, it's horrible. What, Nailsin News again? Oh, yeah, there's quite a few stories there. Oh, there'll be some. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, though. Could be tonight. But I've got an appointment early in the morning, so I can't really promise a live stream tonight. So, I thought, well, maybe I'll just do one early in the morning of Monday after I left the job. Yes. Yes, and then it began to percolate. I thought, hey, I did doodle this imagery. Why? I don't know. I was watching a review of Karmic on Pat's show. It was interesting in that Karmic's all upset again. I wasn't exactly certain as to why. There was, a large amount of speculation. It's really all one can do, and one can't help but do so. And after that, Pat decided to review and look at one of the early meltdowns of Karmic. You never quite get used to it, it was a strange moment in the history of doing Pat's live shows. I do remember that. Karmic's confession for his infatuation with one Tass, the resident artist. And little did I know at the time, despite how dumbfounded I was by the event, that it would devolve into heinous accusations and just absolute madness. Yeah. But it happened, and it can't be unhappened. No, I'm afraid not. Of course, Pat made the observation that, reviewing that display and this sobbing man over this love from afar that he apparently experienced for the fair maiden, and only to sometime later say it was all a part of some sort of 4D chess where he was luring Pat Dixon out to admit some sort of illicit affair. Hmm. Well, it didn't really ring true upon review. No, I'm afraid not. It's all rather inconsequential, but for the necessity of Dabbleverse material, you can't help but be somewhat fascinated. It's why? Why is he like that? Truth is, we may never fully know. One can speculate, as I stated ad nauseum, but this can only be based on experience with people of a similar personality trait. Says, oh yes, I knew a guy like that. He couldn't be dealt with either. Which appears to be the case here. I mean, what are you going to do? Well, not a whole lot. Other than, good lord, there's just something so incredibly silly about it all. And one can't help but laugh uproariously. And despite all his efforts, poor comic alas can't totally appreciate it. I suppose that's the sad part. Certainly for him, certain amount of attention given, viewership of his, I don't know, diatribes and all rants and raves and whatnot, but ultimately ending in mockery. Laughter abounds. Oh, what would we do for poor comic? And remains seemingly unaware that it's all the result of his own efforts. Strange, but true. Is there no respite for Carmichael? Perhaps not. All right, there's Panhandler. Since I don't particularly care for the other drawing, we'll just go ahead and isolate that. That there. Should be able to eliminate the background there. There was some amount of irritation from one Pat Dixon concerning Panhandler, which Panhandler seemed to be at a loss for explanation. But I don't really understand much of it myself, and couldn't muster the inclination to investigate further, you understand. But nevertheless, it's, I don't know, a thing, I suppose. So there's Panhandler. I probably didn't really do a good job on the glasses. I'm never going to be satisfied with any of these drawings. Oh, stop that. What is it still? Yes, it is. All right, there we go. So I shouldn't be surprised that I was disappointed in these. But I don't know, there might be some use for it. And say, look, it's Panhandler. Well, there you are, Panhandler. Your own cartoon. Well, let's take a look at Kiki. Well, um, it's just going to have to do. Same thing here. I'll open up a layer. And then, oops, wrong color. There we are. There we go. But had all his hair. Now, Kiki, of course, recently celebrated her birthday. I've already forgot what was it, the 33rd birthday? I don't remember. But anyway, she was, I don't know, sitting there watching the clock, and then I guess it's struck the midnight hour, or the exact hour of her birth, oh, so many years ago. And then, celebrated. But beyond that, I don't really recall. I do recall Patrick Melton watching a video of her playing with some absurd little beeping thing that was supposedly to the tune of a love song that was played at her wedding to Daddy Doo. It didn't sound all that great. Now, I'm sure it didn't do justice to the actual song, you understand. But she seemed quite tickled with it, giggling and everything. Almost proud of what she was doing with that contraption. So, well, it was her birthday. If she wants to make beeping noises from a little pink box, well, then that's her business. And so it was, so it shall ever be. Her moment on her day of birth. Well, the anniversary of her day of birth. Yeah. No, not to be confused with Bing, 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 you understand. Or is it? Good Lord. Could there have been a moment of discovery, a bit of insight into the machinations of the mind of Kiki? Well, probably not, but it's difficult to make something sound interesting. But I don't know, it really isn't. I don't know. She just likes the beat noises. What else can there be said? There we go. Black eyeliner should probably be depicted as being black. Yes. Yes. There we are. Let's see here. This can go on for her raven black mane. But some of the tresses would probably shine, wouldn't it? Yes. Oh, we'll add a bit of that here, a touch of that, a dash or two. Ah, yes. It might help to actually zoom in on the subject at hand. Yes. Whoops. Right. I know. It's like, are you giving her gray? No, you understand. This is merely the highlights of her raven black mane. And, it's actually a sort of purple, but bereft of most of its hue. Yeah. There we are. We'll go ahead and put that there too, even though it wasn't originally intended to be. All right, there it is. That ought to put some shine to the raven black mane. Yes, yeah. All right. Will this work? I don't know. Probably not. But what the hell? I'm going to do that. She was in a bright red shirt, as I recall. But I have a very faded layer at the moment. So this will have to be dealt with in the aftermath of what I'm doing now. Oh, yes. You understand that art is quite the process. In fact, this particular process began while I was sitting there with my crappy little clipboard at work. Yes, yes. In between selling cigarettes, gasoline, alcohol, potato chips, honey buns, and the like. Coffee, of course. Yes. Cigarillos, zigzag papers, lighters. Yes, quite a few items. And then in between, just drawing Dabbleverse characters. Yes. What else am I going to do? You expect me to suddenly develop a life of my own? Well, you thought wrong. All right. Now, let's move on to her beloved. Yes, Daddy do. We'll use the same color, but perhaps a little more to it. That's too much. Come on, damn you. There. There we are. Now we bring in the color for Daddy do. Of course, with my artistic license, you understand, there's certain things I can take liberties with. I've mentioned it before, but perhaps you don't recall, or this is the first one of these you're watching and you're kind of wondering what the hell's going on here. Well, yeah, I tend to leave the eyeglass areas blank. I don't color those in. Now, why is that? Well, it's just sort of a cartoonish reflection of there's a lens there. Like there's, some sort of barrier for what would be these sort of fleshy elements. Well, the flesh, his face, around the eyes, and so on and so forth. But there is a lens between his eyes and the outside world, and thus leaving it blank, even though this isn't really the effect at all. I mean, I suppose, there's light reflecting in his lenses and stuff, maybe something of that nature. But nevertheless, cartoon rules, and the rules are mine. I made them because I have that license. Most people don't. So don't go around thinking you can. You don't have an artistic license. But I do. Yes. Yes. Yes, I do. Now, of course, he has facial hair. There's ways of going about that, too. But I'll have to come back after the fact to deal with it. Now, as far as the shirt, well, that's a good question. I really don't know. I don't recall any recent coloration of any shirt. But it was probably just, a standard gray. It could be that. Boy, I really don't know. Well, let's just go with this. You can go a long way with gray. Yes. Unless, you have multiple characters and every last one of them is wearing some damn gray shirt. And it's like, what are they? Is it a uniform? Are they all prisoners? Are they in jail? What's going on? You wouldn't want to give that impression. You mean I wouldn't think so? Well, perhaps I would. I wouldn't. Wouldn't hazard to guess. You understand? No, no, not me. So there we go. Get rid of the ghostly, I don't know, elements of the color. Should be in its proper place. As for the headband, well, good lord. All the choices. But for some reason, I always come back to orange. And I seriously don't know why. I just do. Somehow it just works. You should probably just mostly have. Like for every other headband he has, there should be an orange one there. You know, as a brand, perhaps? An identity overall? The one true headband? Yeah, I don't know. Yes, yes. We'll put some of that there. Some of that here. Yes, yes. There. A little bit there. Ah, yeah. Well, there we have it. Oops. Yeah, that's not going to work. We'll leave that there. All right. Well, good enough, I suppose. I'm pretty sure I've done better in the past. But not this time. No. It will accentuate some of the shadowed areas. As you see, the light source hits from this side. Yes, yes. Thus, this darker and more defined color on the opposite end. Yes, 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 that's how that works. Yes. Why, it could even happen on the headband. I mean, why not? I hear no objections, and even if I did, I wouldn't acknowledge them. So what would be the point? So there we go. Headband. I can gray out a good bit of this now. Yes. Yes. Well, there you go. The happy couple. What to do about that shirt? Well, let's see here. Perhaps that will work. One just never knows until one tries. Yes. Yeah. Oh, damn. Damn. Oh, well, that works there. This. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, 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 damn. There. There we are. Yeah. Yeah. That's better. See? There we go. Well, there we are. All nice and tidy. Wait a minute. That's the wrong one. It's this one that I want. Right? No, it's the wrong one again. What the fuck? Come on. There it is. There we are. See? Trying to maintain some of the elements of the shine of the hair, yes. Body and shine for the raven black, raven black mane. Yeah. There we are. Do it like that. Yes, that seems to work out. I would think so. There. Maybe a little bit here. Maybe a little bit there. A little bit there. And now we move to poor Comic. Oh, Comic, what are we to do with you? Apparently, was all upset. Something concerning dire news from home. I'm not entirely certain. It's as if they informed him of something and he just didn't want to hear about it. I'm not sure what it could be. An emergency? Well, it would sound like a member of the family could possibly be in serious trouble or dire straits, as it were. Perhaps an unfortunate condition. But he seemed to be under the impression this was putting a burden upon his, consciousness, I suppose, while he's trying to have fun with Fuddle as he maintains his befuddlement. And something like that from back home, whether some bad news or what have you, was getting in the way of it, perhaps. I'm not entirely certain. But he was generally upset, lashing out at Doom and the like. Later apologizing, he said, I didn't mean to lash out at Doom. It's not Doom's fault. No. It's just one of those things, Just wasn't feeling so great. About bad news, I guess. I'm not entirely certain. Of course, the initial response was, could there be trouble in paradise? It's always going to be suspected for, well, the usual and most obvious reasons. But perhaps that wasn't the case at all. No, something else. And that's the thing. Despite exaggerations, revision of history, and just outright falsehoods, Karmic can't help but leak truths. Yes. Whether it be about his corporate employment details, past relationships, and the like, Little by little. Certain diagnoses of mental conditions, yes, this leaks out too. So on and so forth. That was what was interesting about reviewing the old meltdown over Task, was he did leak quite a bit about this was all the fault of the corporate mentality, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense considering the context of the moment, but that was how he consoled himself at the time, I suppose. Of course, again, today, it was all a play, you understand. It was all a trick on that nefarious Pat Dixon, you understand. That's what he was doing. Oh, you got to get up pretty early in the morning when you're going to pull the wool over the eyes of one karmic X. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Of course, this was all a bunch of bullshit. It is the proper term for the activity, as no, he was in deep bowels of depression over the apparent rejection of his amorous feelings for one task, the resident artist. Yes, yes. Which, took everyone by surprise at the time and all that. But one does recognize the reaction, probably from one's own experience. When you were in your adolescent years, high school, things like that. I mean, and to be fair, even in your early 20s, of course. Yeah. But, well, not so much in your 40s. But somehow karmic found a way. Yes. Yes. But again, it get revised to some clever ploy. All these years later. Yes. Yes. A test, as it were. I suppose the test, had it gone the other way, would have been that, young Tass would have been so taken with Karmic's romantic overtures. And if that had been the case, like Karmic was only kidding and was doing this to get at Pat Dixon, if that were the case, then what of poor Tacitus? Yeah, did you really think any of that? No, he didn't, because it didn't happen that way. But nevertheless, just to entertain the notion, you understand. Oh, what a cruel thing to do. To lead one on, to ploy with him. Of course, his claims was later angry outburst at the, apparent rejection of some sort, just a, oh, well, I'm really flattered, but I don't feel that way about you. Yeah. He took great umbrage at that not long after the meltdown, you understand. But apparently this, too, was all a part of the 4D chess Machiavellian plot to get at the truth, you understand. And yet, didn't seem to give a rat's ass, if you are to take his word for it, about the poor young lass caught in the middle of all this. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I fear that was a bit lost on him as well, as with most things. He keeps desperately trying to come up with some sort of very clever, very witty commentary on the whole ordeal, and constantly hitting every rake in the yard, slipping on every banana peel, falling down the stairs, and wondering, how did it all happen? Well, he turned on a camera and exposed himself to everyone. It's a strange sort of thing, but apparently it happens, and such was the case with the former sweet boy Karmic. Oh, Karmic, what happened to you? Dare we even ask? Yes, there we are. There we are. But what's this? The bright light in Karmic's world, yes. The one thing that he yearns for now. In spite of, the obvious, but nevertheless, the queen of the hour. Yes, yes. An effervescent, angelic goddess of love who flew into the world of sweet boy Karmic, healed his aching heart, and showed him a world he never knew. Yes, yes. But of course, it was just for a few good moments, and come on, nothing serious. Well, alas, the pleasure came with some pain. Yes, constant other meltdowns over pronouncements of no matter what I do, it's never the right thing. No matter how much I try to care, it's not good enough. I'll never be the one you want or whatever. A proclamation again of how it's all the fault of Pat Dixon, so on and so forth, you understand. And then fears on multiple personalities. Of good Lord, this is starting to sound serious. A reunion of sorts. Another, I don't know, couple of days of fun of some sort. Perhaps a chicken sandwich. Maybe even a roller coaster ride. Perhaps a trip to a sex shop to discover the most perfect mask sweet boy Karmic has ever seen. Well, all sorts of things like that occur. And the ongoing saga of sweet boy Karmic, the adventure, yes, excitement, and the realization of love. Love, conjured by one playing with one's pee-pee. Yes, a moment in time, if you will. More than enough. And then suddenly upset again. Well, who knows where this goes? Perhaps even the players most affected don't really know. And perhaps there's something about that, some kind of, well, excitement and adventure to it all. Yes, yes. Adds an air of mystery to it. Sometimes, perhaps even intrigue. Dare I say, excitement? Well, who are we to say? Well, we ought to say, because despite their best efforts, we're going to witness a good deal of it, You would think certain things would be deemed personal and private. And yet, here we are. Soon you'll begin to notice, though, even Karmic catches on. It may take a while, you understand. But nevertheless, he'll have to wonder, why are there no post-it notes on the wall concerning me? Yeah. Not a single one, not a single note, a brief, perhaps even poetic line of love and affection for sweet boy Karmic. Was it not to be at all? Not even a note upon the refrigerator door? Yes, at some point, perhaps already now, struggling to deny it. But the troubling wonder, why does it always come back to Pat Dixon? You know? Oh, well, some sort of research, you understand. Oh, it's all of vital importance, some damn near 3 years later. But, oh, yes. And of course, he wants to be supportive of this goddess who touched him in such a wondrous way. And so, you dare not question too much, but eventually the volume of the question grows louder and louder over time, you know? One can't help but wonder again. Why are we still talking about Pat Dixon? You know? Perhaps one day you'll know for sure. Yes, perhaps. Or maybe not. But of course, there'll be, you know, dabble-less videos. There'll be Doom and So Thorough Joe Burrow, Stalin, stuff like that, you know. All chronicling the saga that unfolds upon this universe, more extensive than the MCU or DC's pathetic attempt at copying the MCU, or Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, all of it. Oh no, mere child's play compared to the going-ons of Dabbleverse as it unfolds before the eyes of you, the witnesses. Yes. Yes. Not just anyone can be a Dabbleverse character. No, no. It requires, in a way, sometimes tragic circumstances. Oh, yes. Sometimes, you know, the type of circumstances you really don't want to find yourself in. And yet, the attention, that many people fascinated by you. Yes. Yes. The irony of it all is some of them try so much to occupy the attention, but only in an advantageous way, and often find it extremely difficult to grasp. Every now and then a steel toe will have his little victory over who of these podcasts or something like that, only to squander it with his own idiocy, you know. But that's the nature of it all, you know. You couldn't be a Dabbleverse character if you actually could outfox the observer. And I mean in total. Alas, it is yet to be. Will Karmic be the one to... No, of course not. Will Fuddle be... No. Will Daddy do... No, good Lord, no. Kiki, oh, for God's sakes. I mean, for that matter, the toe probably has a better chance than they do. But anyway, there we are. Look at them all in bright color. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what I'll do with these. I suppose I'll stick them into the next Doodleverse comics of some form of fashion. There's bound to be something I'll come up with, some sort of narrative. I'm sure it'll all work out. It'll be grand. Yes. Yes. Because, look, in a way, these people are kind of like celebrities, aren't they? They are celebrated by this strange and bizarre collection we call Dabbleverse, which has long since surpassed the concept of dabbling. I mean, there's no dabble about it anymore. No, no. Oh, no. It's an actual universe. An actual universe to live in. With worlds and lives seemingly without end. Yes. And then there's Panhandler. Welcome to the cartoon collection, Panhandler. There you are. Yes. And there we have it. Colored doodles. Drawn by me in the throes of my labors for what else? Money. And then put to color through the wonder that is Photoshop. Yes, it almost has a watercolor appeal to it, doesn't it? But it isn't. It's just Photoshop. Yeah. Yeah. But I suppose it'll do. I mean, that's my intention. My intention is that it'll do. For all concerned, yes, even Daddy do. Hunter Iggy says, Douglas Nelson, what is your thoughts on the new rumors going around the internet that the Saudis and Comcast team up against Paramount to buy WBD? Well, it's certainly in play. There's enough smoke there to suggest the fire is real. And especially in the case of tossing around the potential return of the Snyderverse. Well, this is the ones that, well, all right, there's two scenarios. If Netflix had been able to beat out Paramount and buy it, after initially scoffing at the idea, suddenly said they're interested, which seemed a little odd for their business, unless, of course, it was an IP farming out type thing where they buy DC, but nothing else, that sort of thing. But if there's offers for all of it, and obviously for a higher price of cash, then I'm sure Zaslav would settle for that instead, so they wouldn't get anything. But in this scenario, where Comcast is backed by Saudi money, which pretty much knocks out any other potential bidder, then here you have the scenario where something like a failed franchise of Snyderverse has another chance because there's a really big sugar daddy who wants it to come back. And if sugar daddy wants it, sugar daddy's going to get it. There were rumors of this sort of thing a while back concerning Star Wars and Lucasfilm and all that. Didn't happen. And yet, that scenario, should it have played out, could easily happen. I mean, if some Saudi prince says, I want Star Wars and I want it done right and I'm going to buy the whole damn thing. It was a potential scenario. Here, to a lesser extent, because, I mean, look, it's Star Wars, even though it's completely pooped the bed and those stains aren't going to wash out anytime soon. At one time, it's legendary. It commanded an awful lot of respect and prestige in the annals of history concerning Hollywood. And so here you have Snyderverse and DC properties, of course, Batman and Superman and all that. But nevertheless, that iteration of it, and to have Zack Snyder come back and complete the story he was trying to tell there. Well, if you've got that kind of money, then it's the scenario works, it could actually happen. Then there's all the other stuff, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and then wanting theme parks based out of Universal and everything. Oh boy, they're seeing all kinds of potential in that. And of course, Disney is ripe for the taking, as taking meaning defeated and beaten at their own game, because they pretty much talk about pooping the bed over the past 10 to 15 years. No one's done it more than them. Oh, no. So, yeah, there's blood in the water, so to speak. So, it's interesting to watch. But the sad thing is, over the past, again, 10 to 15 years, the woke era, as it were, the only thing produced by them that was intriguing and interesting and fascinating was their own corporate soap operas. The actual product, films and television, were mostly just absolute garbage. Yeah. Ah, the lovely Lady Harry Jane says good morning and happy Monday, fresh week. Well, I suppose it's a happy enough Monday. I mean, I'm awake and breathing, so that's something. And hopefully the week is fresh. So we can all hope for that. Thank you, Miss Jane. Cocteau says, are Karmic and Felicia still together? Such a lovely couple. Well, supposedly that is the deal. It looked to be the same little table that he sits at when he does his stream, when he's visiting his beloved. So, I guess so. Spurg Snake, Iron Maiden, more like. Iron Maiden, the band? Or the contraption that people were thrown into and close the door on them and the spikes impale them inside. Cocteau, our Karmic and Felicia. Oh, I already did that one. Cocteau, Rumble Chat is acting weird. Damn you, Rumble Chat. Why are you being weird? Well, I don't know what to make of that. I'm looking at it, but I'm not really seeing anything. I see, oh, yes, there were two other chats, and then they disappeared. That is strange. That's bizarre. I don't know what to make of that. Harry Jane Fancy, what software are you using? If you mean the Photoshop, I'm using Photoshop. If you mean the streaming platform, this is EV Mux. Oh, yes. Yes. Harry Jane, he'll be impressed, I'm sure. Perhaps you're referring to Panhandler's Portrait? Well, won't that be nice? One can hope. Harry Jane gives me a smiley emoji of some sort. Well, thank you, Harry Jane. Spurg Snake says LOL. Spurg Snake says Karmic is a sheep herder. Really? Really? Yet he seems to be streaming all the time. You know, sheep require a lot of attention. Otherwise, the wolf will get to it. I know the little boy who cried wolf, and everyone soon no longer believed him. But there really was a wolf eventually. Oh, no. Whatever became of the boy who cried wolf? He became wolf shit, along with the sheep. Spurg Snake, a brief moment. Spurg Snake, firm hand shakes Doug. What? Good Lord. Spurg Snake, fair point, LMAO. Oh, well, that's all the chatting. And no super tip. Well, look, I tried. I colored pictures and everything, but it just doesn't do it. Oh, well, fortunately, I do have a job, so no worries there. And I put in my work last night. It was mostly a quiet night, but good Lord, a pea soup fog rolled in. It's only just now burning away thanks to the sun, you know. I mean, it looked literally like the set of a werewolf movie. I mean, Halloween's over. Doesn't the weather understand that? I guess not. Oh, well, what are you going to do? All right, there we are. Some colored little drawings. I mean, not colored. You know what I mean. Drawings that I added a touch of color to. Yes, yes. And there we have it. Our beloved characters from our beloved home of Dabbleverse. Yes, yes. Look, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. Yes, yes, quite. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you got a kick out of watching me color these doodles, and I did in between tasks at work, because it gets boring and lonely in that place, you know. Then it gets weird. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to have to do it again next weekend. So, you know, that's how that works. But anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll do it again soon. I don't know about tonight because, you know, I got this appointment coming up. So maybe I'll get one in. I don't know. So I'm not going to, oh, yeah, tune in tonight. I'll be there. Yeah, I can't say that just at the moment. But did this one. So that's something. I think it is, because it is, or rather, it was. So have a good rest of your day, and we'll visit again soon. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's Monday. It's Monday. Yeah. It's Monday. Woo! So sick of this racist crap. This racist crap. This racist crap. I'm happy where I am, where everybody's miserable. I know how to do radio. So sick of this racist crap. This racist crap. This racist crap.
As the song goes, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Turns out that was truer than most realize. People think Spider-Man shoots webs out of these devices on his wrists that he invented. This is true, but he also naturally shoots webs out of his ass. But webbing wasn't very practical, so he made the wrist things. However, sometimes, especially after a bout of diarrhea, Spider-Man ended up with his ass glued to the toilet seat. So when Dr. Octopus robs a bank or the Green Goblin bombs a hospital, people ask where the hell was Spider-Man? Turns out he was stuck on the potty.